So that's another thing. And then, okay, you've got the age thing, which is 18-year-olds are stupid. I, as an 18-year-old, was dumber than I am now. And at 23, I was smarter than that, but dumber than I am today. And I suspect when I'm 40, I'll be smarter than I am today.
Yeah.
and I'll look back and go, I was dumb. This is the difficult question of at what point, and I guess it's a sliding scale, does your responsibility kick in to make decisions? What's weird is in our society, you can join the military at age 18. You can decide that you're going to put life and limb on the line to go die for your country, whatever that means to an 18-year-old.
You also get to decide who runs the country.
You get to vote for the most powerful position in...
So like we've decided that you're smart enough to get an equal vote to anyone else in terms of who runs the country.
And the amount of manipulation that goes into that decision is huge. Like how many politicians are telling you the truth about what they intend to do? So I guess we've got the impressionability of younger people, 18. What I just see is, I suppose it's a mismatch. It's like this is a scenario where we are very focused on the naivete of young people and the power dynamic of Crystalia over this person. And I don't see that concern equally applied in other domains of public life, like voting.
We definitely don't. Well, sorry, you're talking about the age. Yeah, two things. We don't tell people that at 18 they're too stupid to make a life-altering decision like joining the army.
Well, let's say not stupid. Let's say naive, impressionable, and likely to make decisions that harm themselves. Sure. And therefore, the person that encourages them to do that is the responsible party.
But we also don't tell guys that are getting bottle service at a club that they're victims of the beauty of their hostess. You know what I mean? Like we knew when we lived in Vegas, women who worked as bottle girls, they were hired for being beautiful and they were paid more the more they could get a guy to part with his money. So their literal job was to use their power dynamic of their beauty to get you to buy overpaid bottles. And we never would go, oh, that's a person abusing their power dynamic to get this guy to part with $20,000 that he isn't getting good value for.
Just as an anecdote, it was my brother's ex-girlfriend was one of the best saleswomen at the club that she worked at. And when asked, she said, oh no, I just tell them what they're getting. I was like, what do you mean? She says, they order this. I said, you're going to get the Dom, you're going to get the this, you're going to get the this. And they just say yes. And she knew when they really didn't have the money to do that. But she also knew that they were not going to say,
that's too expensive.
No, that's too expensive. Can we get the cheaper brand? And maybe
they want to look good in front of her because she's
exactly.
beautiful.
And so there's, if we're concerned with power dynamics, I want to see it equally applied. Is my request.
Well, I mean, I was actually just kind of pointing out that we are okay with these power dynamics often. Yes. The other thing I thought, it's just an interesting, this is not my suggestion at all, but it's funny to think of power dynamics as in they stack. So a certain amount of power gap is okay. If you're a little bit more beautiful than someone or a little bit more famous than someone, that's totally fine. So what if it is that once you acquire wealth and fame, you can no longer date anyone that's more than 3 years younger than you? But if you're middle class, then it's okay to have a 10-year age gap. And that's just how society decides to rule things, which is kind of like what we're talking about. Because Crystalia, we think, was sleeping with a 21-year-old or a 19-year-old while he's in his 30s. And because he's also famous and wealthy, that's bad. But a regular guy, that's totally fine. So it's funny because it's almost like the societal rule is the more power you accrue, since age is a power, the tighter your age gap has to be before you get canceled.
I would say the more power you accrue, but the rule that I'm seeing, and I don't know that I endorse this, is that the more power that you accrue, the more responsibility you have. And I'll say it because I only really see it going one way. I see it going men to woman, to make the woman in the relationship happy with the outcome of it. Because I am not seeing this flipped on its head, where I'm seeing the expectation that beautiful women should not let guys buy them dinner when they know that they're not going to sleep with them or date them or something like that. I haven't seen that outcry at Victoria's Secret models who are enjoying that sort of stuff without making the other end of that relationship happy. So,
well, the other thing is not all power is created equal, because you'll see this a lot with comedians, but not so much with athletes or rock stars. You know what I mean? I haven't seen a rock star get canceled for having sex with women as he tours the world. That's just what we expect them to do. So it's actually not, the math is not just how famous are you and how much money do you have. There's something else going on, because J.R. Smith's texting girls and his first DM is, you trying to get the pipe.
Yeah.
And people
J.R.
laugh.
Smith is a basketball player, by the way.
And people laugh and it becomes a meme, but no one is saying that he shouldn't play, canceled or penalized. So yeah, there is another thing at play besides just how rich and how famous are you.
Well, we mentioned this name, but Bill Gates. I mean, if you look at how Bill started dating Melinda, she worked several levels beneath him at Microsoft. I mean, the power dynamic could not have been more severe, but people don't get upset because he married her. And my sense is, it's like, what if that relationship hadn't worked out after the second date? Now it's a problem, because the information that he had at the moment where he asked her on the first date or was everything would have been the same in both scenarios. And so it seems like the way that we adjudicate publicly these is and this is what I'm seeing, and if I'm missing it with the genders reversed, let me know. Is the woman happy with how this relationship turned out? Is how we determine if the power dynamic was acceptable or not. And I think that's messed up. I think it's messed up that we're totally fine if, and probably would have been, like, it might have been raised a few eyebrows, but if Chris D'Elia had slept with and married a 19-year-old, I think that people would have been okay. He wouldn't
have lost his jobs, I don't think. If he was single, he's single, one fan DMs him, she's 19, they have sex, start dating, and he marries her. Well, he wouldn't lose his jobs over that.
Yes. And now let's, because I can anticipate the counter to this, which is which I think is a fair criticism. You don't, in any relationship, business, sexual, friendship, want to be flippant with people's emotions. You know what I mean? Like, you don't want to do things that you expect will knowingly harm them. But that's in tension with giving people full information to make whatever decision they want to, whether it's business, sexual, or otherwise. And this is what we're saying is, if Chris is upfront about it and he says, hey, you want to come back? And I think his line was, do you want to come back and make out? Somebody comes over, makes out. It's tough for me to perceive that person as a victim, even though I can totally understand why they would be upset after it. And it's tough for me to say that the responsibility, I guess it's, what is it? That Chris, if you say that Chris has responsibility, you are taking responsibility away from that person. And I don't think that's a kind thing to do to an adult, to say that you...
Well, no, not in 2021 where the genders are equal and everybody's just as smart and has just as much personal responsibility and ownership over their life and control over their destiny.
I guess this is what I'm saying is, like, look, if Chris D'Elia is the one who, because he has the power and the knowledge and the this and this younger or group of young women couldn't have handled it differently, that the power dynamic was so stacked against them, that's patriarchy. That's very patronizing to them, to say that you need an older male figure to make decisions for you, because even when given full advanced knowledge of the likely results of this, you cannot make a decision in your own best interest. I can't think of many things more patronizing than that.
No, and if details come out that are counter to this, if a girl was 14 or if someone was forced or whatever, this is just what's come out to date. I think there are times, obviously, which this should almost go without saying, but I just appreciate that people, if we don't say it, assume this is not how we feel, where the power dynamic is horribly abused, like Selma Hayek and Harvey Weinstein. Complete abuse of power. He propositioned her, she said no, and he made her life a living hell while she tried to shoot a movie. That's wildly inappropriate. That's not the same as hooking up with a fan. And that's why I'm saying there are power dynamics throughout every relationship. And I don't think they should all be treated equally. I actually don't begrudge a beautiful woman who on a first date has a guy buy her something, dinner, drinks, whatever. And I don't begrudge J.R. Smith for when a fan says, hey, you're coming to the city. He goes, you're trying to get the pipe. And she says no. And then he says, okay. And doesn't force it or follow up. And so I think that's the issue is, like, there are bad power dynamics. Harvey Weinstein, Selma Hayek, you do see it and it's awful. I don't think every power dynamic is the same. And I don't think that they should be canceled the same.
Well, you brought something up that might take us down a different path. So if you want to come back to this.
No.
Hope that you guys enjoyed that clip. If you want to see more like this and have us do more podcasts, we are 100% funded by our generous patrons. And if you'd like to contribute, there's a link in the description, and we'll have one pop up on the screen right here so that we can do more podcasts where we have fun conversations and hopefully some deep ones like this. Either way, hope that you enjoyed the video, and I will see you in the next one.